Russian President Donald Trump believes that tariffs on India helped pressuring Putin to come to the negotiating table. He highlighted India's position as the second largest buyer of Russian oil after China. In an interview with Fox News Radio, Trump said, and I quote here, "When you lose your second largest customer and you are probably going to lose your first largest customer, I think that probably has a role." Earlier, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said in a Bloomberg TV interview that any further action could depend on the outcome of the Trump-Putin meeting in Alaska. The initial tariffs imposed in addition to 25% duties targeted India for continuing to buy oil and weapons from Russia, a move that Washington says undermines efforts to mediate a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. Russian oil now accounts for 35 to 40% of India's imports, up from just 3% in 2021. Experts warn that the new tariffs could severely affect India's exports, especially textiles and jewelry. But despite growing pressure, India is not bending the knee. According to the chairman of India Oil Corporation, there's no pause in Russian oil shipments, saying that the decision is strictly based on economic considerations. India has further called the U.S. tariffs unfair, unjustified and unreasonable, while emphasizing that bilateral ties extend beyond trade. Defense cooperation continues as per the recent Foreign Ministry statement, denying reports of halting U.S. arms imports amid tensions. Meanwhile, the Commerce Ministry informed that the schedule for the next talks with the U.S. delegation will be clear after next week. The Indian government asserted that the ties should progress based on mutual respect and shared interests. Even as trade tensions rise, Indian government officials earlier reported that there were some red lines that they cannot cross. These comments came after Bessent called India a bit recalcitrant. While describing progress, experts say that the current situation represents a rough patch in a broader partnership that has weathered multiple challenges over the years. And tracking the developments and all that's happening, our Assistant Editor for Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibal, has sent us this report.
Just few hours left for the big meeting between the US President Donald Trump and the Russian President Vladimir Putin, the meeting that happens in Alaska. But it has a huge geopolitical context, also in terms of India as well. India will be closely observing and watching the outcomes of this meeting, and also the second meeting that involves President Zelensky, which has been announced by the US President. India, of course, is facing the wrath of the US President Donald Trump, who has imposed secondary tariffs or sanctions on India over import of energy from Russia. India, of course, remains unfazed and has reaffirmed its relationship with the Russian side. But India also engaging with both the Russian side and the Ukrainian side. The Indian Prime Minister has spoken to leaders of both the countries. There is, of course, plans of the Russian president visiting India as well. But nonetheless, the focus from the Indian side is whether there will be a breakthrough in Alaska. And if there is a breakthrough in Alaska, will there be a breather for New Delhi? Because the tariffs after 27th of this month will stand as high as 50%. And that, of course, will impact the Indian economy, even though the prospects look positive, especially after rating agency S&P said that it is bullish on the Indian economy in its recent statement. Siddhant Sibal for WION.